Okay, I'm gonna tell you the story now. And I'm recording it because I don't want to tell it twice. Also, for those of you who don't know, I work at a coffee shop. And between the hours of noon and 6, Monday through Thursday, no, Monday through Friday, you work by yourself. So that's inevitably when the weirdest people come in. Okay, so here's what happened. Is this was like 2 o'clock, and this guy comes in, obviously high, out of his mind. And I can't stand talking to people that are high anyway, just because they don't make any sense.
Right.
And this guy just kept laughing at like really random intervals, which was annoying. So anyway, I'm like, I have my stuff like over by the bar when I'm doing homework, and I get his drink or whatever, and then he follows me over there, and of course he sits right at the bar. I'm like, God damn it. So I'm just trying to focus on my homework and not making eye contact at all, and he's trying to talk to me, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this right now. So still ignoring him, and then out of nowhere he goes, so I was reading this book today. I can't remember the title of it, but it's basically saying that if you think that something's gonna happen and like you think about it all the time, then it'll probably happen to you. So like if you think that you're gonna be rich, then like a lot of money will come to you. And I was like, okay. And I looked up and I was like, well, that sounds like The Secret. And he was like, yeah, that was it. That's what I'm reading. So like, I really follow that philosophy. And I was like, oh, god damn it. So I just keep focusing on my homework. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything because I just don't want to get into it with this guy. So he just keeps talking to me and just keeps like talking about this stupid book. And finally I was like, all right, well, I know something that I can say that will probably shut him up. So I just looked up at him and I looked him right in the face and I was like, I don't believe in the supernatural. Because like it's Kurt, he should hypothetically get the point that I don't want to be talking to him. And also it's just like it's so down to brass tacks that usually people are like, okay, I'll back off. Well, not this guy. So he's like, well, but that's not really supernatural. I was like, ugh, fuck. I was like, whatever, man. I don't believe in that stuff. And he just keeps talking to me about it. And he just keeps like, well, like a lot of weird stuff happens to me all the time. Like I'll be thinking about a title of a book and then all of a sudden I'll see that book and I was like, you don't think that's maybe coincidence? He's like, well, it just happens too often to be coincidence. And I was like, unless it's happening to you literally all the time, it makes sense that it's coincidence. And he just...
It's like I walk into a bookstore and then I see that book.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And there was just there was no point in talking to this guy about it. Oh, but he was trying to say how, he was like, it's not supernatural because, if you think about something, then like your thought goes into that thing and makes it happen. And I was like, so you're saying that thoughts are matter? He was like, yeah, like thoughts have, like they have matter to them. And I was like, no, they don't. They don't. No, they don't. So eventually I had to like stand up and go start on somebody else's drink, and then another poor girl sat down at the bar and he started talking to her and left me alone. So the second guy, there was another guy that came in, and this was, I don't know, maybe 3 hours later, and he's ordering a drink. He was thankfully not inebriated in any capacity. And he's ordering his drink, and I'm making it for him, and he mentions that he is applying to the medical program at UC. So he's like, I'm really excited about this, talking about, like, I don't want to have a backup school, but, I have to, blah, blah. And I mentioned that I'm going into mortuary science. And he's like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know a lot of people who do that, which so many people say that. And then he goes, he's like, I would be interested to know your astrological sign because usually people who have the blah blah blue in the 8th house are the ones interested in death. And I was like, oh my god, like I don't believe in anything supernatural, but if I surely did, then these two guys coming in, I would not think are coincidence. So I just went, mm-hmm, because I didn't see that coming at all. I'm pretty sure my eyeballs like bulged out of my head. And I didn't say anything because obviously, I mean, these guys are one email away from having me get chewed out by the boss. So I didn't say anything again, and he just kept harping on it. He was like, "What's your astrological sign? Because I bet I can guess what it is." And I was just like, I don't want to. Alright, maybe this will work. It didn't work on the last guy. Maybe it'll work on this guy. And I was like, I don't believe in the supernatural. And he goes, "Well, astrology is not supernatural." Yes, it is!
Well, the star waves come and they influence your birth in the womb.
Right.
The fetus in the womb, all the star magnet waves.
Yeah, well, that's actually, he was like, well, it takes your body 9 months to develop the nervous system. And that, like, he just threw that in there. He didn't explain why he said it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that I'm a doctor and I know these things.
I'm a doctor of the nervous system.
And then he was like, and you know, like the moon influences the tides on Earth. And I was like, yeah, because the moon's really close. It's close enough that it can do that. And then I said, because I was, at this point, I was so weirded out and annoyed with a second person coming in just spewing bullshit that I was not being nice at all. And I said, I was like, so you're telling me that Saturn, the planet Saturn, has a gravitational pull that is so heavy on Earth that it's affecting the way that individual people live their lives and make decisions. And he was like, well, yeah. I was like, no. No, Saturn's way too far away for that. And if it does have a gravitational pull on Earth, which I'm sure it does to some degree, it's like fractional. He was like, well, what's your background in physics? And I was like, I don't really have one, but I said, well, my fiance, he independently studies astrophysics. He's like, so I know my way around it. I'm not, you know, an expert in any capacity, but, you know, like I kind of know what I'm talking about. And I mean, does that make sense that Saturn has no...
Well, everything in the universe actually has some sort of gravitational effect on everything else, but Saturn certainly couldn't have any significant effect on, especially a single molecule in your body. Plus, even that aside, even if you would have to somehow prove that gravity itself has some sort of influence on personality and the way that you form and everything, like, the only thing I could even take a stab at would be that it would literally cause your neurons in your brain to be like slightly shifted or something. But even that's not the case because they're so densely packed in there that it's not like it would be significant anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Saturn has an effect on us, I guess, but it's negligible and probably close to zero.
Yeah.
Like, significantly close to zero anyways.
Well, the next thing he says is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
He crosses his arms and he goes, well, I'm a scientist.
Mr. Scientist.
This is when I lost it. Like, I was just like, I'm so done with this. I'm tired of this happening. And I was like, stop right there. And I was like, number one, that's a logical fallacy. That is an argument from authority. Just because you are a scientist, you're obviously a doctor, does not mean that you can espouse about other scientific things.
What kind of scientist was he?
He was a medical doctor. He was trying to get into UC.
Oh, right,
like,
right.
And then...
Well, he's not a doctor. He's not anything.
I know.
He's an undergraduate.
But he's a scientist.
Right.
And then, so I was just like, you know, I was like, that's a logical fallacy. And I was like, oh my god, what the fuck else did I say? Jesus Christ, I can't even remember. But... I can't remember, but I was just...
So he was claiming that he did some sort of scientific research on
Yeah,
this.
he was like, well, I know physics. And I was like, oh, I remember what it was. After he said, I'm a scientist, I kind of laughed, and I said, Oh, that's okay because I know some scientists with some pretty irrational beliefs too.
Burn.
And then I was like, I told him like it's a logical fallacy. You're being stupid.
Did he specifically claim that he had researched this?
No,
No, at least not that then.
but he said that he knew about physics and he obviously knows about stupid astrology.
Well, I took 2 frogs, and I got them pregnant. And then I had one have their baby frogs in January and another one in September. Let me tell you, those September frogs were total dicks. They'd hop on each other all the time, and they'd eat all the juiciest flies. Because September frogs are assholes.
There goes your phone again. Yeah. You know why? Because we're in the 8th house right now, and Mercury has a strong pull on the Earth.